So this is the section that we've left alone. We're not going to touch it. We've worked on our side of the about 25, give or take, acres over on the section that we live on before the pond. And then there's all this until we get a bit into my trail, until we get to maybe the other third of the property at the farthest end of our land. And that's where it we just really cleaned up. So what happened, I know I've said this a few times, is back in 2016-17, the National Forest, they went up here on this mountain, and because they have a logging road up there, they decided they were gonna start a fire. So then they came down on this land and they backburned it. Well, some areas, like these areas, didn't get touched, which is so interesting to me because over there on that, it's bad. I mean, there's a cabin that's like about a quarter of a mile in front of it, so maybe that's why they went and ground burned over there. And then over here didn't get bad, but at the bottom of the mountain, you can tell all of those larch red firs, they got damaged pretty bad. So all this is going to stay. We decided we were going to do a trail into where we can get to the stream, but then we just decided we wanted to leave it alone so that we still have just this feel of, look how cool this path is. It's like you don't realize, this cool paths and stuff, because that was like handmade. I went and I used the chainsaw and cut out these areas, whereas if you have a logger that has a massive machine, like to come and take out some of these ponderosa pine, I wanted to do because we have a lot, but it's going to ruin all these beautiful white fir. It's going to ruin all these starts. It's just going to destroy it. So we just decided we're just going to leave it. We're going to leave all of this the way it is. And then the sections that we worked on, we're just going to continue to clean it up. And hopefully, if some good grasses don't come in, we'll just grab a bunch of seed in probably the fall, because it's going to take us, I don't know if we even get it cleaned up this year. It's so many acres that now I've got to go back on our 25 acres and go through all those sections that I had cleaned up before and re-clean that up. So, and then we'll have to get to this other side of this section and start to try to get through that. I've went through and tried to decide, do we hire someone with a mulcher to come and just try to go along and try to mulch some of this stuff. It's like $1,400 a day for 8 hours. And so with how many acres we have, that would take a huge chunk of our logging money, even just for one day. And I'm not sure how much they'd even be able to get done. So we're just trying to decide what makes the most sense. And we've talked about buying a grapple for the tractor. Then I could try to go through and rake and clean up with that. But who knows, some of the sticks are so small, like this kind of stuff, and that, but there's so many of them, you don't want to just leave them on the ground. And I don't really honestly want to have to go through and pick up 50 acres of little sticks and throw them in a shredder. It seems overwhelming. Maybe if it was 5 or 10 acres, it would make sense, but it just seems like too much for me. If you have any ideas, please comment below. I don't check the email very often, so if you want to comment below, that would be helpful. If you know on a massive, large scale acreage, what do you do, because it's even here, it's we have this stuff all over. Honestly, I just clean up my trail again and then probably just not worry about it. I could see if, like, you know, this is broken off, like that one's broken off, machine could come through and just like shred that. That would be really helpful. But is it worth that amount of money? And I don't know how many acres they can get done in one day. Like, we're talking like 10 acres. It gets expensive really fast. So that's kind of where we are there. We're almost to where we stopped falling over here. So you can kind of see where it's like still just, you know, the cottonwoods. Obviously, once they have the leaves again, it'll look a lot different through here. But as we started falling trees and stuff, we just realized, oh my gosh, this is really opening it up. Maybe this isn't really what we want for all of the property. So we decided to not go through and log all of it. I mean, it stinks because there's still some of this that could be taken out to open it up. I mean, look at some of these white fir. The white fir, it stinks because you have to travel those like 2.5 hours. And they only take up to, I want to say it was like, don't quote me, but I think it was around 30 inches. And a lot of ours are bigger than that. And so they won't take it. And then you don't really get money because you have to travel them. So, but it stinks because we don't get a lot of grasses in here because it's so forested. So that's kind of sad in a way, but I wonder if that's a beehive up there. I wonder what that is up there. Do you see that? Let's see right there. Is that a beehive? Interesting. I didn't notice it until recently. So here we are. We're almost here. So you can start to see where they did fall some pretty big ponderosa pine, bull pine, because look at how much it opened it up in here, right here by this pond. Again, it broke off trees. That one probably didn't matter, but some of them were beautiful larch and whatnot, that were just little, and quite a few through here when they got dropped, when they fell them. It just took them out. There was a really big one. I think it comes down. There's a couple that were taken, but I think the first one must be right there because that really opened it up right there. And then the other one opened it up, so now we can kind of see through to over there. Those ones were huge. And the thing is because we're in such a high water level, they grew so fast in 40, 50 years that some of the loggers were saying they've never seen trees grow that fast, that big. So it was interesting. So see, we have this mess, and it's like, well, this is going to be a disaster to clean up. I mean, not horrible, but it's going to be a bit of work unless we were to get a gravel. See, this beautiful larch is now tilted and it's scraped. And I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. It's just what happens, I guess, when you log. There's a beautiful tree that got taken out, a white fir. And so we chose to take this big one out, and then we lost a lot in doing so. So this one got completely messed up, and that's one of probably hundreds of them. There's another nice white fir that's completely demolished. So if you have ideas on best way to tackle large acreages of cleanup, let me know what you think. Like, is there some type of rake I can put behind the tractor? Is there, I mean, there's the grapple idea. Yeah, look at how massive this one was. It was big. That's a big daddy right there. So anyways, when we counted them, on some of them, they were only about 40, 50 years old for such a big one. See, my hand is like, that's a big one. There was a couple other ones back over there. Oh, these ruts. And the hard part is like we're 50-degree weather here in Northwest Montana. And this is not normal for, now we're in February, but for January, we're getting these huge, this warmer weather. So then he went back there and kind of did some stuff. And then up there on the mountain that I had showed you before, honestly, like sometimes I just want to cry thinking about it. But the thing is like all my paths that I had cleaned up were downed with massive ponderosa pine that I couldn't move myself. I don't even think my 20-inch chainsaw, it wouldn't have gotten through it. So I felt like, what do? I log it, which I'm happy with this because we weren't even, I mean, it's so bad. I would like to come try to do ground burns, see if I could carefully ground burn like 10-foot strips and then come back and do the opposite. I don't know, I've just been trying to think of like how could I come through and just do 10-foot strips or something to kind of clean up some of this. Obviously we're gonna have to throw these in a pile or something, and so this is, honestly, it's sad. It's like my path, my road, it's like all the trees are gone. It's way open compared to where we just were. But there's like stuff all over the ground. And that's just stuff that was like already there. So this wasn't like the logger. We couldn't even get back in here. There's still stuff that needs to be dropped. See that poor little white fir right there. There's just branches hanging. And this would really only be, I mean, this goes on forever and it gets worse. As you go down there, it's like you don't even want to go down there because there's just sticks and stuff all over the place. So it's like my work on an area with a fire, throw stuff in. Well, it goes on for so long. I think you'd be crying before, I'd start just crying before I got much farther because that's all where it is on, say 75. Well, this, not talking about these acreages here, it's probably like a good 50 plus acres of just this sticks. And I said to my husband yesterday, I said, I feel like I'm back where I was when we moved here, was like hand picking up and throwing in, and it's hard, it wears you out. This is obviously not as bad, but what I've been doing is just going through and then I just chuck them into the fire. But it's such a slow process, it's going to take me years. But you can tell in areas where it's not as bad. Maybe that's an area I've worked. These piles, we didn't get it started at the beginning. And it's, obviously there's so much green in it that it just doesn't want to burn. We're going to probably have to wait till next year to get some of these burned. But further down, some of them got going pretty good. So we were able to get them burned for the most part. So that was nice. But this just looks completely different. This was like you drive in, we had a little island of trees here. We had trees there. We had trees, starter trees here. They're gone. That just kind of came up. Sad. It's sad that, I mean, it is what it is, but just really opened up this area into the property. And then we took out some over here on this side. To be careful because this is so muddy that you just fall. We took some out over there under the power line, so then we got that mess and that cleanup that we're gonna have to do. We didn't end up taking a whole lot, which was nice, because we still have kind of that row, but at least we got some taken out with the tops where they split off. So like halfway up or 2/3 the way up, they split off into multiple chutes, is mostly what we kind of went through and took out there. But got a nice fire pile, and yeah, this one's long. It's already 15 minutes. I feel bad because I could maybe I do a version 2 so you don't have to like watch me or help me, so I could get to the other side of the property, so you can see how different it is. So I'll end this one, and I will try to upload one other one with on the section of where we are, and the difference over there. We had 3 big areas of downed wood on the ground that were just like still I hadn't cleaned up because they were bigger logs, and they were the bull pine. The bull pine, ponderosa pine, it's harder to clean up because they were so big. The lodgepole and larch, and the ones that I mainly cleaned up that we had so much down of, it wasn't so bad because they weren't these huge logs I was dealing with, so it wasn't too bad. But so he just like was able to push them all. They were all rotten, so he just pushed them all into a fire. And so there was 3 main areas, so for him it was super easy, didn't take much time at all. And then there was along the pond that was still really bad, and so he just went back there and bunched up a bunch of more piles, and so we'll be burning forever. But those ones shouldn't be near as bad to get going. If it's gonna rain here in the next week, I may try to get them started. It's just 50 degrees for the last 3 days, so this is just not normal for Northwest Montana for January, February. Just weird. It did get down to 30, so the pond's a little bit, it got, the ground froze a tiny bit, but not much. It's just so muddy. Like I fall and slip with just walking through here. It's pretty bad. Oh, we've all been sick for like a month, and I felt like my medication for bronchitis was helping for about 1 day, and the doctor had given me all these other things to try, raw local honey, like all these things. And man, yesterday it hit me again, and I feel like the antibiotic may not be working, which is awful to say. Again, I took it for about 1 or 2 days, the first day or two. I think day 2 I felt pretty good, and then now I can just hear it in my breathing. The raspiness. Okay, I'm almost there, so sorry this is so wobbly. So this is a pile that they've been working on. He brings them here, so they've hauled out 10 loads of logs, and I'm thinking that's got to be maybe 4 more. I had promised 12, and then he was so kind to push all these piles together that I took a handful more out for him, because to me it's very helpful, and he has been so gracious to help me get these piles burning, which is absolutely helpful to me to like push them in. So I'm thinking that's possibly 4 more with the ones over there. So that would give us 14 loads. He may have a few more that he's got to come in here and take out. Maybe 1 more day of logging, and then I think we're done. So some of these got taken out with some nice lodgepole here. They're gone. So then over here. This looks amazing. Like, this was just piles of stuff all over the ground, and they're still standing rotten logs that I just haven't gotten to this section. And so this is looking amazing. It really opened up this a little bit. We didn't open this area right here too much, but we did open it up over there. So that should bring hopefully some good grasses. Again, we may have to just keep cleaning up the ground, and then throw down some seed possibly, because there's so many pine needles that like grass hadn't been able to grow through here. There were so many logs everywhere too. So this would be another road that you can come in on. And then I was thinking maybe there's this nice slant that if we get rid of those stumps over there, we could just drive down there and then come out here to this front property. The way that our property was done is that they had traded that piece that we could get to more of our property. So we should have had that, and then the power lines, and they owned the front field. We like it this way, but it's hard when we have no way to get in and out of this front property. So we have an easement through the power lines to get over to there. But it's through his field, our neighbor's field, which is hard when you're trying to log and you're trying to do things. There's no way out of ours because we have so many hills and stuff. Like, it'd be awful. Like, this road's not bad, but we don't have a road that goes all the way and then out to where our house is. That's like a good, decent road that's not like going up crazy hills and whatnot, which it works for a truck or ATV, four-wheelers, but for a logging truck, it just doesn't really work. So I gave him that nice big one over there. There was 2 chutes out of it, and it totally opened that up. So this is looking really good. It stinks. We just cleaned this, most of this tunnel out last year, and now see, it's just, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know. If you have ideas on the best way to tackle all this kind of stuff on the ground again, because what we do is rakes, go build fire piles, little ones, kind of all over and burn it. But if we want it done this year, what's the best way to tackle it? If we do ground burning, I don't think you'll get hot enough to burn some of these branches. It'll obviously burn a lot of this needles, which my plan is to do. But when it comes to all these bigger sticks, well, now we got to start over. I feel self-defeated a little bit. Not a little, just a lot. Because it's, man, I saw a picture the other day from last summer, and it looked so beautiful with the grasses coming up. And now, and if you wanted to mow, you could go mow, but like having the cows and the goats and stuff come through and eat it. But now there's just sticks everywhere. So real quick, I'm almost done, but I'll just show you. So then there was just stuff all over in here, so we just piled up. It burnt pretty good. We still have a little pile. If I would just dive in to learn our tractor, this would be done and cleaned up, or I would have pushed them in together. But this is, shoot, I should have gotten this one going. He said on Friday, get those fires going. But we had 17-mile-per-hour winds Friday night, and I was already worried about the other ones. But this one's actually not back in the trees, so this is nice. There was big ponderosa pine down here, so he threw those in, so that was super nice of him. And then he pulled out a nice lodge pole for Ty, so that's looking just great. That was a huge rotten ponderosa lodgepole on the ground with just a bunch of other stuff we hadn't got to. So still a little bit of cleanup, but not as bad as like having just tons of big logs. But look at this. Look how cool. It's really coming together. So we did take out, we tried to, we took out 1, 2, 3, 4, left these 2. I thought we were only taking 2, but maybe it's because those ones over there ended up being split off, like they split off. So it made sense to take them off, but this is ideal. You want it separated so that if a fire comes through, they're not touching. That might be a little bit too close, but it's better than it was where they were all touching. You just don't want the fire to jump from one tree to the other. But yeah, this is really coming. We had that mess. We still have a mess, but we had a bunch of downed ones over there that fell on the goat's pen. So that got cleaned up, and then a couple other ones. So it opened up that really nicely. So once we get these 2 fire piles and then some small ones done, this is really coming together. Oh my gosh. Wow, that is a big pile. Oh my gosh, it's opened it up so much. Wow. There's still like, I think 2 or 3 trees I would still take out back in there, just because like they split off and they're like splitting down it. But they're, anyways, back in there. I don't know if we're gonna take them or not. We might just end up leaving them, but I'm afraid if we do, one, they're gonna like take out all these beautiful smaller trees, but they may end up doing that if they split here soon anyways. Wow, I can't wait to get this cleaned up. I'm gonna be highly motivated to get this cleaned up for summer, because this has never looked like this, to where we can see this pond. Oh, and he has more fire piles down this way. So we had cleaned this one up. I think it's been 1.5 years. He's been stacking the firewood off to the side for us. Nice white fir. The white fir burns fast, but man, if you can get white fir, lodgepole, that's a nice lodgepole right there, to get your fire going, and then throw in red fir, larch, then you're set. But if you're trying to start a fire, I don't know, for at least me, if you're trying to start a fire off of red fir and larch, it's a nightmare. I'll be in the house for 30, 45 minutes, and I'll just finally give up and say, well, I don't care about being cold, because this is just not fun. So this is looking amazing too. So we'll just have to burn this stuff in here. And wow, it's gonna be so cool. We bought a torch so I can go through and ground burn. So this will look really good in the summer. Wow, look at that. To be able to get that cleaned up and just be able to see the pond, it's beautiful. Well, thank you for watching, and if you've gotten this far, you're a saint. Much love to you guys, and thank you for joining this crazy journey of ours. It's a crazy one for sure.